most notably. He said Manziels is just not ready for the National Football League. Let's listen.
He is not even remotely close to being ready. If he opened as the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh in week 1, he would get his kicked. And his would be driven into the ground because I'm telling you, other teams hate this guy. Hate him. And if I were Mike Pettin, I'd have to have my head examined to put that kid on the field. And I think back to his little text message that he sent. I think it was either Kyle Shanahan or whoever the quarterback coach there in Cleveland is.
Right.
On the day of the draft. Let's wreck the NFL together. Yeah, okay, you're going to get wrecked, son.
Well, he's not going to be playing this
The NFL is about as unforgiving a place as there is on God's green earth. It is a men's place. It is for people that have a very, very strong constitution. And whether or not you can handle it is going to be determined by your maturity level. And right now, this kid is a baby.
All right, well, goodness. Titans safety Bernard Pollard adds he reacted to Manziels' gesture on Monday Night Football. He goes, I don't know what was said. I could really care less, but we as players, we are blessed with this opportunity to play this game. We are on a stage, regardless if you want to say it or not, or believe it or not, he's a quarterback. And every young boy wants to be a quarterback. They want to be a face of a franchise. They want to be that guy. He is in the position. Everybody has seen the gesture, and that set a bad example for a lot of young people. Again, that was Titan safety Bernard Pollard. He went on to say if he had an opportunity to get a hit at Manziel, he'd take one. Lots of critics, lots of critiques. Bayless, your reaction to all the negative attention.
First of all, could I set the record straight on the text? It went to the quarterback coach, Dal Loggins, who then did Johnny a great disservice by the week after the draft doing a radio show back in Dal's home state of Arkansas, in which he divulged that Johnny texted him just before the pick was made and said, hey, coach, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, I want to be a Cleveland Brown. Let's do this together. Let's wreck the league together. Well, it's a private text to a guy Johnny's close with, Dal Loggins. Now it's become a hashtag, wreck the league. And is that fair to Johnny? Because it got divulged. It was supposed to be a private message. Johnny didn't tweet it. If he tweeted it, good. You brought it on yourself, young man. And he's brought a whole lot of stuff on himself, I'm the first to say. But what was amusing to me yesterday as I sat back and watched this, all the Manziel haters came out of hiding yesterday. Because guess what? Johnny stung it up on Monday night just like they knew he would, and he shot the finger at the Redskins bench. So he proved on that one Monday night, which, by the way, was his second preseason action in the National Football League. He proved once and for all that night that he's going to be a bust, and furthermore, he's just a little whiny jerk. He's just a bad kid to boot. And I'm wondering, where were all those people after the first preseason game in Detroit when I thought Johnny looked a lot like Johnny football? He did some really good things, albeit against the twos in Detroit, against a little inferior defense, but still. Let's point out, Johnny Manziel is trying to segue from a college spread offense to a very complicated pro drop-back passing offense that it's not really tailored to him. And we are talking about him after 2 preseason games. I'm going to remind you, the great Peyton Manning, as a rookie, was thrown into the fire for a team that went 3-13, and he led the National Football League with 28 interceptions. Anybody saying Peyton was going to be a bust that year? Heck no, because he was #1 pick in the draft. He was 6'5" prototype pocket passer. He was Archie's boy, and he was such a fine young man, Peyton Manning. And Johnny has become not only the most polarizing figure in sports, but the biggest target in sports. And I'm going to bring up his name before I hand it back to you, because people constantly bring it up to me. It's Tim Tebow all over. No, it's not. It's not even close to Tim Tebow. Or I should say, Tim Tebow is not even close to this. Do you remember Tim Tebow's first preseason in the National Football League? No, you don't, because nobody talked about Tim Tebow in Denver, his first exhibition season. Do you remember that? Zero. Do you remember Tim's first season in the National, his regular season? Zero. Nobody talked about him. He did not even play until the 14th, 15th, and 16th games of the year. I was interested because I like Tebow and I thought he could win games if given a chance. So I would come to this show, I'd come to the meeting and say, you want to talk about, no, nobody want to talk about Tebow. We didn't talk about him that whole year. The next training camp, Tim Tebow, really a non-factor. In fact, there was a report he'd fallen to fourth string, and he went 6 games deep into his second regular season before anybody talked about him because they finally said, let's get this over with. Let's give this kid one shot. He'll fall on his face, and we'll be done with him, and you know the rest of the story. But look what's happening. After 2 preseason games, we're declaring Johnny Manziel a bust or a bad kid. You're kidding me. There's nobody in sports who measures up to him right now. Not Richard Sherman in the National Football League. Maybe once upon a time LeBron was polarizing in the NBA, but not anymore.
In terms of negative attention.
Yeah, like positive, negative, like plus, minus.
Okay.
There's nothing like him.
All right.
He is moving the needle one way or the other, unlike anyone in sports
including
right
LeBron
now.
and Richard Sherman.
Yeah, or we can go on back to maybe Tiger did at one point. Does he anymore? He seems to become a non-factor. I don't see it.
All right.
Your turn.
Your turn.
I just threw a lot of stuff at you.
Yeah, he's digesting.
I'm going to say this to you, my man, because I'm your brother from another mother. I'm going to look out for you
That
here.
means this is coming.
I'm going to look out for you. I keep telling you, sometimes the instigator, the ringleader, is no further than a couple of feet from right in front of me. That would be you.
Instigator how?
In terms of the whole attention, just the shrapnel of criticism.
Fault.
To some degree, yes, Skip.
Okay. It was my fault on Tebow, now it's my fault on
Well, let me
Manziel.
explain. Let me explain. What I'm saying to you is this. Now, in fairness to you, because I know you're going to sit there and regurgitate the same old stuff, so I'm going to do it for you. You are absolutely right. You were not a hypocrite. You beat everybody to the punch in terms of what you said Tim Tebow was going to do. You never called him an all-pro.
Nope.
You never said he was going to be an all-pro. You certainly never accused him of being a great practice player. You never did any of that. You said he'd find a way to win games.
If you gave him a chance.
If you gave him a chance, he'd find a way to win games.
One team gave him a chance.
It was true.
Yeah.
It was true.
Okay.
Okay? What you're saying about Johnny Manziel, very well, may be the absolute truth. But you have to understand that you sat there, there's a couple of people, and you don't do this often. It's very, very rare. But when you latch on, because, damn it, you are right, and that's that, and you ain't budging. And so it was that case of way, it was that way about Tebow, and it's certainly that way about Johnny Manziel. Y'all don't understand.
That way, by the way, about Robert Griffin III.
That's true.
I'm not backing off that one.
I understand it, but that's kind of different because he's a number 2 overall pick, and there really weren't doubters. There's questions as to whether he was locked, but that's really about it. Nobody questioned if he was worthy of being the number 2 overall pick.
There was some negativity out there.
You know, about attitude a little bit, but everybody knew he could ball. RG3 was RG3 for a reason. Can't count that. Tim Tebow.
Now, I went beyond luck, though. I said he'd be better than Andrew Luck.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that he's number 1, number 2, so what? You know, it ain't like it's Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf. You know what I'm saying? So, no.
Not much of a stretch.
Who cares? All I'm saying to you
wasn't a stretch at that moment.
All I'm saying to you is, that's what you do. So Johnny Manziel wins the Heisman his freshman year. He comes out, he's a runner-up the next year. And so he's coming into the NFL, and Skip Bayless is caught up in Johnny Mania. From the sense, not even being caught up in it, instigating it.
Right.
Because other people are looking at him and going like this. He's relatively short, arm strength, but not so short. We know he can run without he can run with the football. Let's see what he does. Skip is like, no, number 1 overall.
May I make one quick point?
Yes,
to defend myself,
Go
please.
Go ahead.
In the very seat from which you are speaking, one John Gruden, the great John Gruden, sat right there and faced me and said, I would take Johnny Manziel with the number 1 overall pick. Thank you very much. Case closed.
Case is closed.
It's all his fault.
Because Gruden said it.
It's Gruden's fault.
Y'all finished with this?
Oh, come on.
Y'all finished with this? Let me get to the point. I was going to get there.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was, because my point is, John Gruden said that after Skip Bayless.
So I talked him into it
I'm just
also.
saying, you're the
Still my
ringleader.
fault.
Always.
You're the ringleader. So all I'm asking you to do is this. All the heat that's coming Johnny's way, I applaud the fact that you're sticking up for him, because I've been on the record the last 2 days. I think it's much ado about nothing. I think it's just too. Now, if there's stuff that's going on with him that we don't know about, you know, in terms of off the field stuff, that's a different ballgame for another day. If indeed we learn something of that nature, but we haven't yet. So in the end, what it comes down to, lastly, is this, Skip. You believe in Johnny Manziel wholeheartedly. You are all in. Well, you know what? Accept the heat, because it's coming.
I accept. I said my first word was
Accept
I was
it.
amused by all the
Accept it.
haters coming out of
Accept it.
hiding because I know they're going to have to slink back into the shadows sooner than later.
In fairness to Boomer Esiason, we both respect the hell out of Boomer Esiason.
Look,
he doesn't fade into any shadows.
No.
That's why I love him, because he's going to say something, but he ain't hard to find once he says it.
And if he's wrong, he'll own it. He'll own it.
Boomer will be around.
Really? Okay.
He's not hard to find, Skip.
He's old school NFL.
That's
He
all.
certainly
Nothing wrong with
proved
that.
himself on this stage. We know that. But this whole thing about the league hates Johnny Manziel, I don't know if they hate him. I think the Redskins were amused by Johnny the other night. I think they got a kick out of his spit in your eye attitude because he's going to fight back, man. He fought back in the SEC. I don't think they hated him in the SEC because they knew he could ball. That's why. He proved it. Now he's got to prove it on this field, on this stage, against the Legion of Boom maybe at some point, right?
Let me tell you something right now. Do you have the... Let me look at this. Do they have the Legion? Do they have the Legion of Boom on their schedule? Because I was getting ready to say.
But at some point,
after what I saw Cam Chancellor say,
well, it'll come.
He don't want it. Johnny Manziel don't want no parts of them.
Right.
Yes, he does.
You
think he'd be running from them? Come on.
He wants all parts
He'd be
of
running
it.
through them.
Oh, okay.
Hold it. Hold on, Miss Champion.
He's not afraid,
Hold
man.
on.
Did you see what he did to Nick Saban?
I'm not accusing him of being afraid.
Yeah.
I want this on the record, y'all. Are you saying that Johnny Manziel would run roughshod over the Legion of Boom?
Well, he'd run through them occasionally. Sure he would. He'd make plays against that defense. You don't think he would? Well, it's not going to be this year. They're not on the schedule this year.
So it's fine.
Okay.
So once he gets a little seasoning, we'll see what happens.
I'm just saying, that was a very bold, blasphemous statement on your part.
You know what? I think he'd be really good against it. His style would match up way better than Peyton's style. Was Peyton not a sitting duck for them?
No, that's fair. Okay, so again, Skip's on record 9-7 if Johnny Manziel started. He's not, so we'll figure it out. I'm just